Happy Father's Day, everybody. I was looking through Craigslist. Some guy was throwing out a old snowblower. I think it's an Ariens near my neighborhood. Thought I'd pop out and go see it. It's not far from my house. That's an oldie. This is interesting. I've never done it this way before, but it's just too heavy for me to lift. There you go. There's always a first time for something, right? Cool. I'm back home now. Painless. That's funny. Really funny. Because I had this exact same one, as you guys remember. I sold it to Scott Keller up in Elmira, New York. Funny thing is, I remember I had another snowblower that I got that only had one chain. And I took the chain off. And this one is missing a chain. So if I could find that other chain, I just put that on here. Then I'll have one with a chain. So just looking at what we got over here. This, as you remember, has one of those primer systems where it's just like a button. And it's missing the button. The button would just cover up the choke, you know. I don't think, I mean, this doesn't appear that I'm gonna be able to get this going, you know. It just doesn't appear that way. And you never can tell, though. Tecumseh engine. It's missing a muffler, as you can see. Looks like it was just taken out. There's no bolts in there. Usually if it's gone, you know, somebody messed up the bolts and it's still in there, and that's why they couldn't put it back on. But it's odd why it's not, you know, in there. Why would he take the muffler out? Unless the muffler got rusted out and he took it out and he couldn't replace it or something like that. But fuel lines actually seem okay. Needs air in the tires. Not sure. Doesn't look like an easy fix, fellas. It freewheels even when it's supposed to be engaged. Right? And when I unhook this, which means that now the drive system is engaged, it still freewheels. Maybe if I engage it, it'll touch and then I can't freewheel it. No, I can still freewheel it. Which means means there's something definitely wrong. The engine's locked up. Can't turn it. This is seized, but you can turn it with your hand. See? Just needs some penetrating Earl. But yeah, I don't have much motivation on fixing this right now. I'll wheel it in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pump up the tires so I can move this thing around a little bit more. Seems to hold air. We gotta free this up somehow, you know. So I'm not sure whether or not it has something to do with the drive system on the bottom, or if the engine's blown and a connecting rod is busted or something like that. Honestly, I have never had a snowblower engine have a busted connecting rod, so I think it's probably just caught on something. So I was going to remove the entire cover over here and then try to get onto the flywheel so I can try to turn it manually. But I want to see on the bottom if there's something going on under there. I'm going to put it on its face. Well, its wheel's much better now. Let me get those bolts off. That was easy. That's what it looks like on the inside. I can feel that the axle, they both have keyways, which is good. Does move freely. Friction disc is not touching the plate. I'm going to disengage this handle so that it does touch. Once it does touch, it doesn't move, which is correct. I'm going to go on the other side and do the shifting thing. That actually moves freely too. This is reverse, neutral, slow, and fast. Well, I don't really see anything obviously wrong with that, so I'm just going to put it back down again. going to have to do is take this cover off for sure. Just see if we can start this thing. And the only way you can start this thing is if the engine's loose, right? As you can see, can't pull nothing. So I just put this on because it wasn't attached. It didn't come with a screw, so the heater box comes off. Looks like there's quite a lot of things to remove. So I can get the cover off by taking this off. That's really on there. This is actually one of the head bolts. That's why it's on there so well. Won't even move. There's one over here. Man, it's on there too. There's one over here. Yeah, that won't move either. Damn. I'm gonna get a ratchet. 1/2-inch ratchet. Now I should be able to remove it with the impact. I've already loosened these head bolts and the one over here. So it's really just 4 bolts holding the cover. There's this little loop thing that holds the recoil starter into this loop. I'm going to remove that. So you can see the fuel line is routed through the recoil starter cover. So if you want to remove it completely, I guess I could just remove it and let it hang there, but I have a feeling we're going to have to take this damn stuff off anyway. I'm loosening the fuel line hose clamp. I'm going to take the fuel line off. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to work on this right now because I went to the dentist a few weeks ago, several weeks ago actually. I had a crown and a couple of fillings on 2 teeth. It still kind of hurts. It's not supposed to hurt after a month, you know. So I have a feeling that I'm going to need another root canal, or I've got an abscess or an infection in one of the teeth. That's definitely not fun. old fuel all over my feet. This top bracket here is really tight, so it's holding it up this side on. Look at that fuel. It's turning. Got a 3/4 nut here on the flywheel. So the engine is loose. It's not like, and now it's getting better and better, you know. But something feels like it's rubbing on here, you know. Shouldn't be anything like a stator or something. I mean, maybe there's a stator, but it's getting easier and easier. I question whether or not it would ever have compression. But it's getting smoother and smoother. I'm going to spray some penetrating oil inside there. Penetrating oil from my friends at Lucas Oil. Got compression. I can hear it. I'm going to work this a little bit. I'll spare you guys from watching. So that thing's loosened up quite a bit. Since we have it here, I'm going to drain, and we saw the condition of the gas. I'm going to drain out the remainder of the gas in here, if I can. Kind of a cool little fuel shutoff they got here. You know, I mean, I thought there was a lot of fuel, but didn't seem to be any. I'm going to get a compressor and blow out the tank. seems to be coming out. I'm going to take this valve off. It looks like it was recently done, actually. There's Teflon tape around the fittings, and they're very clean. That fuel was terrible. Had water in it. Look at that. Nothing in there. Guess the fuel line's clear. I'm going to take some of this old fuel that I have. I'm going to put it inside, slosh it around. Gas tank's really rusty. See that? I'm going to put my finger on the hole, pour some more in here. Cap back on. Morning, Scott. Slosh it around. I should have known that was going to happen. Got fuel all over the place. Getting clearer. Definitely cleaned out the tank a little bit. At least there's not a lot of sediment in there, you know. That is some crappy fuel. fuel line back. We know the fuel line is clear. I could blow air through it. I'm just gonna try to put this back. Let's check the recoil starter. The recoil starter is very good. Surprisingly. Go. Go on like that, or you know why? You could see the markings here, so you know this rectangle thing is here. Got to do the head bolts a little bit tighter. Maybe 100 pounds. Not too much that you'll break them. You kind of get a feel of 100 pounds when you do it enough. Let's see if this thing pulls freely now. Why doesn't it pull freely? It was moving freely. Right? Ah. Cool. Why is this so loose? Aha. it's missing a few screws. Some people say I'm missing a few screws. I think we're all kind of missing a few screws. But yeah, missing a bunch of screws, man. I'm gonna have to find two. We're missing 2 screws. Let me show you. There's the Recoil Starter. As you can see, there's one there. This one's missing. There's one there. And that's missing. So I'm going to have to find a couple of screws to replace that so it doesn't move around when I try to pull. But Henry, how are you going to find the exact one? Well, I'm going to take one of them out. You take one of them out, you got something to compare it to. And I get to look in there for it. Okay, I put 2 bolts in there. They were about the same thread, but it wasn't exactly right, but it fit. Clanking sound seems funny, doesn't it? Like something's rolling around or something. I'm going to take the spark plug out. That was not even tight at all. I think the connecting rod's busted. I can hear something squishing around in there like it's busted. See? You hear it? Yeah, it's definitely something busted in there. I feel pressure though, so which means that it's not. Is that odd or what? Throw some carb cleaner in there. Let me attach the spark plug. See if we get any spark. There's no spark. This will never fire up because there's no spark. I think there's something wrong with the Magneto. That thing just, you hear something just flying around, you know? Listen. Something's loose. I might have to take this whole thing apart again. What are you gonna do? You gotta do it. I tighten these. At least our recoil starter is perfect. I'm going to remove the flywheel nut with my impact driver, electric one from Harbor Freight Tools. This thing has worked flawlessly for like a year. I got it for 40 bucks, coupon. Like I said, flawlessly. Now this is kind of tricky. I've never taken a flywheel off of a snowboarder this way. So I've got the crowbar. I can see it. I put it underneath the engine block and I'm putting pressure outwards on the flywheel. I don't have good leverage though. Ooh, look at that, huh? One shot. One shot, one kill. This nut back on in case I lose it. Well, it's a points. It's a points Magneto. Those always require some kind of cleaning, you know what I mean? I hate points. But I'm still a little wondering what that noise was. You know what I mean? You know, the noise. Don't know what the noise is. From when you pull it, is that noise? I don't know what that is. Obviously doing that, you don't hear the noise because you're not pulling it hard enough, right? It definitely has compression, okay? The piston is moving up and down. Otherwise I wouldn't get suction out of here. Hard suction too. But there is, it seems like there is something loose though. It's weird. So, I'm just sitting here thinking what I should do because I really don't want to mess with this anymore, you know? And, I mean, the condenser could be bad. The points, I could just clean it up and see if we get spark, but honestly, I doubt it, you know? I don't even know if I really want to mess with this anymore. But you know me, I never give up until, you know, I'm done. But I want to know what that sound is, you know? But either way, we're not getting spark, so we have to take this off, right? and I don't even know how to gap it, you know, the air gap it with the flywheel covering it, and you can't see it. How can you stick a you know, a feeler gauge in here when this is all enclosed like this, unless there's no adjustment, you know, unless it's just and of course there is an adjustment, because you can see there's a screw here where you can move it left or right, you know. So that's tough, really tough. I don't know how you do it. Unless I can inspect the points without even taking it off. I remember, as long as I take this cover off, I can see inside. I know I'm gonna lose that. Honestly, looking at the points, they look great. Clean. I don't know what the problem is. Here's a good look at it, see? There's the points right there. Look at that. In between here, those two contacts, they're clean. What happens is there's a lobe here, you know, acts like a cam, right? And when you turn it, the lobe gets over here and lifts that, see? Can't turn it with my fingers, but I mean, it looks good. I don't know why there was no spark. So I was looking this whole thing over, I was tracing everything, and then you know what I noticed? When I tried to pull on that thing, it was grounded. It was supposed to be like that. This was touching the kill wire. That's why there was no spark, I think, you know? Is that dumb or what? Of course we're not going to get spark if I did that. So, you know, honestly, I don't mess with points very much. I don't know enough about it. I've done it a few times, 3 or 4 times, and just by me looking here, there's nothing wrong with these points. It's very clean, you know? And I'm just going to put everything back together again. And hope that the reason why it didn't have any spark was because, well, duh, I had the kill on. I had it stopped, which is really stupid. If that was the reason. Could it be that easy? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But it's actually pretty easy to put this back together again. That's it. That's all there is to it, man. Put the keyway back in. And the flywheel. Keyway is going to be kind of tricky because I don't remember how this went in. I think it went in like this. There's a little slot in there. Maybe that'll work. I remember it was just loosely sitting there. And it's really tricky. I'll put it in first. And then shove it in. Maybe that'll be easier. Yep, that was much easier. Then I had a cup, I believe. So you want to make sure that there's no... there is a way. There's a tab, a notch here that goes into the hole. I don't think that makes much difference, but that is how it goes. I always make sure it's going in the right direction. Okay, I'm gonna put all that crap back. So, and guess what? I saw spark. But it makes a bigger noise now when I pull the thing. Something's catching somewhere. See if you guys see any spark. Son of a bitch. It's definitely spark because I just shocked myself. See it? There we go. It's definitely spark, but you know, there's something catching in there. It's screwy. I don't know what the hell that is, but it's not anything inside because when I pull it and I put my hand here, I can feel the something's hitting it. So it's just the recoil cover. But we got spark, which is the important part. I'm going to spray some carb cleaner in the throat and close the choke. Give it a pull. Here, let me get you further. These are kind of looking up because saw smoke come out. There we go. That baby started up. You guys saw that? Of course, that grinding sound is terrible in there. I don't know what that is. I'll have to take the Recoil Starter cover off again and check out any scratch marks. But how about that, huh? Got it started. I have a feeling it's those two bolts I put into here. They're too long. I have a feeling that's the reason. Uh-huh. Yep. Just look at the evidence. That's scraped. That's scraped. And now, look at the fins. There. So that's what was scratching, that's making that lousy sound. You just gotta get rid of them, that's all. Now that we grinded that, ouch! By the way, it's hot. Really hot. So now it shouldn't make that crazy grinding sound again. Shouldn't. Because it's actually shorter than the stock bolts. So, I think since we've got it to start, I think I fixed the grinding sound. I'm going to put all this stuff back together again. And put some gas in it. And see if we have liftoff. connect the fuel lines now. The end of this fuel line is Dunsky. Fortunately, it's a very long fuel line, so you have a lot of slack. I gotta get a new pair of pliers, man, or side cutters, what they call it. These hose clamps are not actually the kind of hose clamps you're supposed to have, but they'll do. This one doesn't even really need a hose clamp because you can't even get the hose off, but I'm going to tighten it on here anyway. Let's see if it makes that noise when I pull it now, after we grinded that stuff down. See? That's good compression, man. Can't even pull that thing sometimes. I'm gonna put some gas in there. Now, of course, I don't expect this to run without a carb clean, but you know what? You never know, right? That's more than enough just for testing. Let it flow a little bit, see if it makes its way to the carburetor, and see if it leaks. Letting it sit around for a while, make sure the fuel cutoff is not on. Honestly, this fuel line is a little too long. I don't even know if it would ever get any fuel, you know? And of course, it remains that there's no primer bulb for this because it's supposed to have a primer, right? But the type this is it's a push button where it just closes this thing, you know, all the way. And then when it's the choke is closed, just yank this a little bit, and the vacuum is supposed to prime it, you know. Honestly, it kind of seems like it wants to start, doesn't it? Wow! Can you believe it started? About that. It moved. It moved and the auger moved. This thing flew off. I had it in gear, so stalled. I should have let it run for a little bit more. Put it on neutral now. How about that? Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Can you believe that? It's incredible, man. Next time on Mowers and Blowers. Of course, we got to put this stuff back. And you know what? I want to take apart that carburetor because it only runs with the choke almost closed. So while it runs, I'm pretty sure that the carburetor could use cleaning, you know, so that I wouldn't have to worry about the choke and all that. It's weird. What happened there? Stripped. Kind of hold it out. I'm going to try to just take this out. Curses! Foiled again. That's a pain in the ass. I'm going to just cut it. Cut off the fuel, get a 7/16. Let's take this bowl nut off. Yuck! It's like gravy, man. That's retarded, man. I don't even know what that stuff is. There's a fuel mixture screw right over here. 4. Should have been like this. Can't turn it anymore, right? So it's 1. That's 1 full revolution. 1, 2. It's 2 revolutions, and then 3 should be like that. But I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna. Clean that up a little bit. Wipe that bowl clean. Spray some brake parts cleaner here from my friends at Lucas Oil. A lot of like yellowish mustard color fuel coming out of there. I'm going to put this screw all the way in. By the way, I just came back from the dentist. I got another root canal. I've maxed out my insurance already, so a lot of it was out of pocket. It sucks. What are you going to do? You got to pay for your teeth. They're your teeth, right? Anyway, so it's all the way in now, so 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, 4, so that's 2 revolutions, and then another half, so that's 2.5 out. That's a good way to judge the mixture. Choke plate's a little hinky. But, see, I can't even get into it to fix it. It's a little loose. Can't be loose. On the butterfly there's a screw, flathead. You can tighten it. It's working. There. And I'm going to twist this straw upwards and blow. Make sure the emulsion tube's cleaned. And I know this is clean because it ran just fine, but see, it's clean. Let's try this. Screw it in. 1, 2, 1, 2. See, that's also just 2 turns out. It should be 2.5, but good enough. I'll take this all the way out. Looks clean. Just to make sure, blow it anyway. See, you can see that it's clear. And get a little needle.
Wait a minute. I went in this way.
I'm going to screw this all the way in, take it out 2 turns as it was before. Should be 3, but I can adjust as it's running. So that's all the way in. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's exactly the way it was before we took this bowl out. And that's a quick and dirty carb clean without taking off the carburetor. Release the hounds. Choke. Throttle. Until some fuel gets in there. That thing shouldn't be turning. Oh, it's engaged. Gotta disengage this. There you go. Open it up a little.
You can see the choke is wide open and it's running, so we clean the carb. I gotta find a muffler for that.
I gotta find a muffler for that because that's louder than hell. Hey guys, support my channel via Twitter. Also follow me on Instagram @MowersBlowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com.
Mowers and blowers. Yeah.